I've got a new box under my arm with Toon Kings and Men of Bretonia. So let's set the tone, listening to the one and only. We've got to that old world charm.
G'day, Buttercups, and welcome back to another episode of That Old World Charm. We are here with, at this point, like the greatest old world player, at least in the small region of Canada that he's from, possibly several kilometers further than that.
Definitely within a 3-kilometer radius of where I am right now, yes.
But this dude just keeps winning, and our lovely man, Peter the Falcon, has taken down another large team event. With the square-based crew. We're also joined by the lovely, delightful man himself, Danny McDevitt. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing great, Adam.
Better than I am with that enunciation. You'll have to forgive me. G-Dub made me talk for a couple of days a while back, and I'm still recovering. Yeah.
And you didn't even mention that you're now the face of Warhammer 40K for Games Workshop.
Face and voice. And guess what? I'd still rather be here.
Folks, if you're listening to this right now, if you go on news.coms, you could look up the James Workshop web channel. You like, subscribe, tickle it, whatever. You can see Adam's face, and he describes like all the new detachments that are coming to 40K.
It's pretty amazing.
Great detail, and like for once, they have someone who's really smart about 40K actually talking about 40K. It's wonderful.
It was a wonderful opportunity. And yeah, if you're at all interested in 40K, go over there and tell them they did a great job, and they should definitely make and let me do it again. So yeah, all comments.
Let me do it. But
yeah, I would be happy if you just did it for 40K. I don't care actually who does it. If it's not me, I want them to have, community members on with fingers on the pulse and to be shown that they care enough to get the people that the people listen to on the show, on their shows. I think that's a really, really cool thing to do.
I just don't have the voice for it. My mother always said I had a face for radio and a voice for screaming. So,
well, fair. Well, you do that as well. Why don't you play Orcs more often then? Why don't you? Wow.
Well, I don't like that at all.
Is it because you're allergic to grain alcohol?
That's a Space Wolf player, but I mean, it's pretty close. I guess they're almost the same.
They're basically the same army. Let's get real.
It's true.
Of course, this is going to be a 2-part podcast. We're going to be interviewing our lovely Peter the Falcon on his run, his team, the event that he took down with said team, what worked, what didn't, everything else in between. If you want the other part 2 of this podcast, go over to That Old World Charm over on Patreon, jump on into the Discord, get your questions answered, and we're going to be doing a bit of that and a bit of chitter-chatter, mostly about how we're feeling about the direction of the Renegade Pack, the direction of the game at the moment. We're sitting not stale or stagnant, but it wouldn't if we go much longer without another army book or arcane journal, we might start getting into that we need a little something to reinvigorate the masses. But luckily we have the wonderful Val Heffelfinger, keeping some of the juices flowing at least.
And in theory, we're supposed to be getting an FAQ next month.
In theory, we will see. But Peter, what was the event that you did the things and stuff at?
Yes. So the event that I went to is Canhammer Team Tournament, prestigious event here in Canada, mostly for 40K, although last year they brought back the Old World team event for it, or Warhammer Fantasy Battle team event for it, which I did attend last year along on the Square Base team, along with Val Heffelfinger and Rob Symes and our good friend Shane, who is a WTC judge. Last year we came in second place. We went with we had 4 wins and a draw, and the team we drew against had a couple more battle points than us and won the event. So this year we were kind of coming back for blood. Unfortunately, Rob couldn't make it. So and also they changed the event to go from 4-man teams to 5-man. So we had to bring in some new blood. Luckily. Because of our contacts, our connections, and all the people we've met through all the events we've been running, Val, Shane, and I were able to bring in 2 real solid ringers in Adam Slutsky, who is like a Team USA Warriors of Chaos and Cathay player who also happens to have won, multiple very large scale GTs, either online or in person. And Nathan, I believe his last name is Grau. Forgive me, Nathan, if you're listening to this, who is like a Team USA vampire player, also a Yale professor, so the smartest man in the room at any given time. Both wonderful dudes. We were so happy to have them with us. And yeah, so we were pretty excited to make a run for the win. That was the goal this year. No more second place. No more bridesmaids, never the bride, or whatever you want to call it. And we succeeded.
Well done. Great episode. Thanks for joining us. See you next time. Yep. What was the format of the event? Of course, we've got 5-player teams. What was the format? Usual constraints, no double up factions.
Yes. So
structure.
So while the official TO of the event is Chris Haynes, he runs the entire Canhammer team tournament. The guy that kind of constructed the old world side of things, Ryan Sullivan, he and I go way back. I used to play 40K and Warhammer Fantasy Battle with him here in Moncton and Fredericton, New Brunswick area. He's originally from here and he moved to Ontario. So it's really awesome to get to see him. And he put together a pretty cool little team pack with a lot of iterations, but the main kind of overarching things were 5 teams, 5 separate factions. You could not overlap factions in any way. Whether you use mercs or anything like that, you had to keep the same. You could only have the 5 factions in your army lists. Mm-hmm. Also, you are not allowed to share magic items unless they were extremely common. So Lore Familiar, Ogre Blade, things like that, you couldn't have that in multiple lists, which really changed a lot of the game in terms of list design for, I think, every team there. There was definitely a lot of, or most teams, I should say, a lot of who's going to get Lore Familiar, who's going to get Staff of Quietude or things like that, depending on the meta.
I personally love that rule. It does get more problematic the bigger the team. You start going to 8-player teams and you're like, oh my God, this is actually really hard to negotiate with. But as even doing that, I think it actually brings a team closer together. You actually have to talk to your team. You have to.
Oh, it did. We definitely spent I would say the better part of a week trying to figure out who was going to get Lore Familiar, who was going to get Monster Hunter Tapestry in particular. And then there was one-off talk about who wants Spell Eater Axe or who wants other kind of niche items. But those first 2, we definitely had a lot of talks about trying to figure out who should get what because of how our lists were designed.
Sick. All right. What was the mission format?
So this was also really cool. 6 missions were presented when teams set up and did their pairings. Each pairing, the attacker got to pick the mission that you played, and the defender set up terrain. So it was player plays terrain. However, it was the defender sets up the terrain, attacker picks the mission, and finally, after terrain is set up, the attacker can move 2 pieces of the terrain that the defender set up. It was up to 6 inches, I believe, was what it was, or swap positions of 2 pieces. So it led to some really interesting dynamics in terms of pairings and when you put up defenders and such. It added another layer of strategy if you really wanted to get into it, and some teams really did. Because one of the missions, King of the Hill, is very well designed for certain armies, and so there was definitely some play there to try and get first defender just so that you could, or first attacker, just so that you could pick King of the Hill and keep it from other teams, things like that.
That is cool. Danny, any questions?
No. Do you? Well, I guess. So you talked a little bit about having to discuss with your team about picking these magic items. Did you call dibs on anything particularly for your army?
No, in fact, I did the opposite. I reverse dibsed everything.
Whoa! What?
Yeah. So I was going to play Beastman when we decided on what we wanted to bring. To us, there were effectively 6 factions we were considering bringing, and then possibly 7. But really, given the players that we had, we were kind of at 6. And then it was just a matter of like who was going to play what. So Adam is like a very good Warriors of Chaos player. He's also an incredible Cathay player. Shane is excellent at Cathay and Bretonia. Nathan is basically just a vampires player, but he's mastered vampires, I would say. Val, our good friend Val, is knows vampires and orcs and goblins very well. And I kind of play everything. But we were kind of between Beastmen and Tomb Kings for me. So I guess that would be like the 7 possible factions we could have picked. We felt like we needed a Beastman player because of how strong the army is right now. And given Val's specialties and Nathan's specialties, we were kind of locked to orcs and goblins and vampire counts as 2 others. And then it was kind of just like, what do we want our powerhouse players to be as like main attackers? And Shane and Adam both built lists that were designed to deal with Death Stars, which meant they ended up going with Bretonia and Warriors of Chaos for those purposes. It worked out. There was a lot of thought going into like what kind of factions we were going to pick. And then after that, I basically took my WTC list, looked it up and down. I said, who do we think needs lore familiar the most? Because Val's list, which was basically just a copy of the Team England list from Six Nations, the Laser Eye list, except we dropped like 1 caster from it because it was those lists were at 2,200. It already had lore familiar built. It had like every common magic item you could think of, that list. Sure. And then I had Monster Hunter Tapestry initially, and I had lore familiar. And I also had Spell Eater Axe. And then Nathan really wanted Monster Hunter Tapestry for his Graveguard because he was going to go full combat Graveguard. He wasn't going to take shields. He went great weapons. So I said, you know what? I can deal with that Monster Hunter Tapestry. I can go Beast Banner, Poison Banner, and just be like either aggressive or just scare people away with that combo. And then I also like Beastmen also have access to Pelt of Midnight, so they don't need Spell Eater. They can pay 5 more points and take that instead. And then it was just about lore familiar, who was going to get that, because Shane would really wanted it for his list to make sure it could smash like large bricks better because of dark magic, and making sure he got Frenzy and Hatred for his Pegasus Knights. I wanted it to make sure I got Steed of Shadows, and Val wanted it to make sure he had like a guaranteed Earthen Ramparts and TMP. We decided, since I already had 6 levels of Elementalism and I could switch up to have 4 levels of Demonology, even if I don't get Steed of Shadows, I can probably just like 13-7 people because the Herdstone's really strong and I have a giant perk of guys in front of it.
Sure.
And Val had like 20 levels of casters in his list. So like if he didn't get at least 1 TMP or Earthen Ramparts, well, sucks to suck. So we gave lore familiar to Shane for that reason. And like I think it was all the right choices. I will say I missed lore familiar in like 3 of my 5 games though, because I could not roll Steed of Shadows or TMP for the life of me. I think I had TMP in 2 of my 5 games, and Steed of Shadows I only had in 1 of them, which made my games a little bit harder despite how well I did in them.
I think that's cool, though. I think that you having to compromise for your team and make your life a little bit harder, and everyone kind of doing the same while evening out like the optimization. I think that adds something. That literally adds something more than it takes away.
I agree. It was like a big thing. Like I really enjoyed it. Anytime like you add like an extra like puzzle layer to the list design aspect of things, I enjoy it. Teams already does that by its nature. This was just like another added bonus. And then the whole mission structure thing was so cool. Not a big fan of King of the Hill being an option. I would hope maybe next year we consider dropping it, but like if they don't, I'm cool with it. It's such a skew mission, but at the same time, maybe that's fine because of how everything works. So yeah. The other thing I will say is, Ryan, if you're listening to this, please do not make forests dangerous terrain for everything anymore, because I hated that. With a big brick of like 45 guys with move through cover. I wasn't super scared of standing inside forests, but having to roll those like 45 dice every turn got to be a real pain.
All right. Take us through your list, dude.
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, I chose to kind of run the like standard Beastman good stuff list. However, I had to make a couple slight adjustments because of magic items. So I have my Beast Lord as my general. He's got shield, gnarled hide, slug skin, black maul, full plate chaos armor. 2+ armor save, 5+ ward, potentially a billion attacks with the black maul at high strength and high AP, and the unit he's in is getting -1 to hit in close combat. I have 2 level 2 naked demonology Bray Shamans and 1 level 2 naked elementalism Bray Shaman. In my WTC list, the elementalism shaman also would have Jagged Dagger, and I would only have 1 demonology with a lore familiar, but this was me trying to get that extra chance at speed. Yeah. But also, it gives me a 4th Vile Tide, which came up. Like, I mean, you guys, just so you know, like Vile Tide's decent.
What?
It's a pretty okay spell.
No, it's trash.
Especially when you're getting +3 or +4 to cast almost all the time. And then I have my Great Bray, who is my general. Wizard level 4, with elementalism and hag tree. That's a mistake in the list. The general was, I believe, actually the Beast Lord. So that's just a mistake in the BCP, because I remember telling everybody that it was actually the Beast Lord. Then we got Wargore with heavy armor, shield, Pelt of Midnight, Battle Standard Bearer with the Beast Banner, and Pelt of the Dark Young. So he gets the MR2 and all that other good stuff. And also -1 to hit against from shooting. Beast Banner gives me like a mini Swift Stride for the unit to give them extra threat range. For core, I've got a unit of 45 Gores with additional hand weapons, great weapon on the champ, Scourge of the Burdened to get Call of the Wild spell for reserve move, and Vitriolic Totem for poison attacks. The mandatory unit of 20 Primal Warherd with Ambushers, 10 Gores, 10 Ungores, 2 Razor Gores, 2 units of Ungores, 2 units of 10 Ungores with Roaming Warbands for Ambushers, a unit of 14 Ungores with a champion in it that starts on the board. All these guys have short bows, unit of 6 Harpies, and a Herdstone. So this is kind of like a slight modification on what works for Beastman right now.
So what role do you see your army playing in the team? Like are you a defender? Are you somebody who has like a lot of good matchups? What do you feel like your like place in the team is?
Generally in our matrices, other than against one team, I had like really good matchups. The thing about Beastman right now, particularly because of that Herdstone being a 200-point swing, it's like even some of my bad matchups, I'm an 11-9. Just because of it, like 11-9 me. So I was usually the flex pick for us.
Okay.
Oftentimes it was get everything out of the way, and then whatever's left I would take on. The only time we moved to a different format was in our final round when we really needed to win. And the defender that got that got put up, their first defender that got put up for that matchup based on what the other team had was me. We went with me. Usually we went with either vampires or orcs and goblins as our first defender, and then the other one was our second defender. But in round 5, we put me up because based on what I was looking at there, my worst matchup was probably the Beastman mirror, and I could take that away for the guys, and I felt like I could beat their version of Beastman because I didn't think the list was as good as mine. It was still a very good list, and Andrew, the guy that played it, is a very good player. But I felt mine was better 1v1. So
nice. All right, I'm going to quickly run us through the rest of the lineup, more like just going into the archetypes, and I'll unpack the interesting and nuanced bits. But Adam S. on your team, taking the Warriors of Chaos, had a Flying Demon Prince, Mark and Nurgle, with all the good stuff. He got the Ogre Blade and Meteoric Iron, and then Exalted Champ and Sorcerer Lord, both on steeds, 15 Forsaken, 2 units of Marauder Horseman, and a Warpfire Dragon. So not quite double dragon, but actually pretty. I like this list a lot. I might give this list a go. This looks like a lot of fun. Yeah.
So this list does a lot of interesting things that throw people off. It has a lot of points to now because like the Marauder Horsemen, our skirmishers, basically the entire list is MR2 because of Brazen Collar. The Exalted Champ with the BSB and the Crown of Everlasting Combat on a Chaos Steed is a really cute choice because he can kind of like maneuver around. He can just hang out by himself and take out small units. He can hit flanks and rears a lot in alignment with the Marauder Horseman, because you'll see one of the Marauder Horseman units actually has a war banner. And basically the concept of this list was it was designed to play against like Beastmen and certain vampire counts lists, where you can have the Forsaken hit the brick in the front. You fly your Warpfire Dragon close by so that if they've so that you're shutting off regen on like vampire counts. You're shutting off invulnerable saves on everybody else from like Earthen Ramparts or things like that. And then you're getting all these flanks and rears, and you're picking where your Demon Prince goes in and your Exalted Champ goes in. So like you can ensure that an opponent cannot decline a challenge, or that you cannot be challenged, and you can just pick up a bunch of dudes. It's like,
so it's designed to checkmate 2 of the big brick armies in the game.
Yeah, and it's very finesse. And Adam's like a very good player with this list. Like it takes a lot. The Infernal Puppet helps a lot into the Beastmen. This is a great list. When you watch it, for me, the only thing that sucked was in this event, unlike some other team events where you're allowed to like get an idea of what's going on with your opponents, we didn't really have that for this event, which sucked. So there were several times where I'd like look over at Adam's table and like looking at it, I'd be like, I think he's losing real bad. And that was almost never the case. Like I think Adam took 1 loss the whole event. So, and it was I want to say it was 2 Beastmen in a weird matchup where his opponent got off a couple of Vile Tides when he needed, like insane numbers through a spell familiar and also someone dispelling him, and it just didn't matter. So,
all right, next up we have Nathan Garu. He has the Vamps. He's got double Necro, only 1 on the Mortis engine, which I think is the better build. Then an Echo, 2 Banshees, White Lord BSB. He has the Monster Hunter's Tapestry here. 27 Grey Guard, like you said, with the Great Weapons drilled, Obsidian Lodestone, and the Drakenhof Banner, 2 into 20 Zombies, 3 Felbats, 2 into 6 Hex Wraiths. This is a kind of sick list. I like the build. It is a little more, I guess, it doesn't feel as all in on it can only win via screams as some vampire counts lists I've seen in recent times. But yeah, I like how the idea of taking the Great Weapons on the Graveguard and making it mean like, well, even if I don't get any spells off, I'll still attrition out a lot of stuff in the game.
So we talked a lot about this leading up because like Shane and I in particular, we are way bigger fans of Sword and Board on the Graveguard. Yeah. But Nathan knows what he's doing. So, and he showed it.
Yeah.
Nathan also went 4-1 at this event, and his loss, while it was big, it was because he had never played against the list before, and we didn't have enough time to coach him on what to do against it. Unfortunately, he played against a Slayer host list that was designed for King of the Hill, and the guy got to pick King of the Hill and just roasted Nathan real hard.
We're gonna have a look at that list as well after we're done because that's super spicy.
Well, it's not. It's clear. It's a list I played against when I got best overall at TGX. The only difference is vampire counts can't just shoot all of the dwarves to death by turn 4. They don't have that option. They have to actually engage.
What are you saying? You're saying what is it? Seems like 35 Doomseekers. It's probably only 12.
It was 15. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, anyway. It was some number.
Anyway, it's an insane list. It's very good. Clear's a great player. But yeah, so Nathan was fantastic all throughout the event. The level 1 illusion acolyte helps a lot in this. It just the Graveguard ended up being tough enough with the -1 to hit and everything else. He uses the Hex Wraith so well. The Fellbats are great at creating shenanigans to lock people into combat with the Graveguard, so they just can't walk away and do other things. And yeah, just it plays out when you know what you're doing. Apparently, vampires are good.
Fair enough. All right, into Shane's list. He's playing Bredy Exiles. He's got double Baron with what you'd pretty much expect. Frontier Axe, Grommel Greathelm, one of them with the Knightly Temper. And then the other one is Heroism, Exile's Vow, Gauntlet of the Duel. 3 Obsidian Lodestones because he didn't get the Spell Eater Axe. Also has a Paladin.
No, he wanted 3. He didn't think MR2 was enough. He wanted MR3 specifically.
Fair. Level 3 Outcast Wizard. With the Law Familiar, so he got it here. Do you know what he was picking from Dark Magic?
The big thing he wanted was Frenzy Hatred. The rest almost doesn't matter. It's just Frenzy Hatred because, this is our other list to deal with Beastmen and Vampire accounts. Giving Frenzy and Hatred to a brick of 5 Pegasus Knights with 2 or 3 gigantic characters in it, you'll just beat them, right? You'll kill everything. So.
Yep. Because then next he has a Paladin BSB, Banner of Lady's Grace, also on a Peg Charm Shield, 5 Knights of the Realm, 8 Mounted Yeomen, 1, 2, 3, 4 units of Peasant Bowmen, 14s or 13s, 5 Peg Knights with the Totem of Wrath, and then 2 Bombards. Pretty straight up and down, but tooled for purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
The MR3 was a big deal for Shane. It was something he wanted for the Beastman matchup. Just like Adam going MR2 but having Infernal Puppet. Because now Beastmen, they're requiring a natural 7 a lot lot of the time. No, sorry, what am I talking about? They're requiring a natural 9 to get off the spell. Or an 8 on their Great Bray. And that's just then you also have your Dispel from your Outcast Wizard to help.
Yeah. So, well, dude, I mean, I've played against your Wild Herd a couple of times now, and I'm always 2 high rolled Vile Tides away from losing the game. So it's kind of terrifying.
And I don't think we ever put Shane into Beastman just because of our matchups.
If I was playing as the Beastman player, I'd be like, no, we're dodging that.
Shane, something I'll say about Shane right now, and I'll talk a bit more of it maybe later. So more than half of our team ended up with food poisoning day 2. And Shane was by far the worst of it. And I watched Shane take, in our round 5 that we needed to win the event, he took a straight up yellow bordering on orange matchup for him. So the rest of us could get solid greens to give us the best chance of winning. And fucking 10-10 the dude while actively throwing up. He was going to the bathroom and vomiting. Every time I looked over, he was fully red, face on the table. And then he would just kind of lift it and shake his head a second and then roll dice and then go back to head on the table. So he really played his ass off for a dude that was actually dying.
So what did you guys eat? What did it?
We went to on our after Saturday. We went to the Lone Star steakhouse with a couple other teams, and Shane, Adam, and Nathan. On top of the food they ordered, they shared a nacho, and they all believe it was the nacho because those were the only 3 that got sick.
Not your friend. Bam.
Yeah.
Got him.
They believe something was wrong with it. And Shane ate the most of it compared to the other two, and he was definitely the one feeling it the worst on day 2. So
I wonder if it wasn't someone's attempt to take you out of the event. You're sabotaged.
Well, I will say the team that that beat us in round 3 of the event, and then we had to make the comeback against with our last 2 matches. They were the ones that were at the table with us, and one of their players used to work at that.
Oh my god! Oh my
coming together.
How stupid could you be, Danny? I mean, Peter. Gullibles.
I had tequila shots with that dude. And maybe it was the tequila that kept me from getting sick.
I would love to think that our game is at a level where people would actively sabotage each other. We know it is not. We're all friends in this, but it is funny to talk about. All right. Last list. This one is the Venerable, the Lovely of Val Heffelfinger. He's playing Orcs and Goblins. It's just an all-in 21 Orc mob with Warbows and then Night Goblins all around it. So he's got his level 3, 2 level 3 elementalisms, a level 4 elementalism, 2 level 1s, 3 big bosses. Actually, another level 1. He's got freaking 6 casters, 3 big bosses. No BSB, which is that's fine. 4 units of fanatic-laden Night Goblins and 2 Doom Divers, in addition to, like I said, 21 Orc Boys with the Orcs Thinking Hat and Banner of Swirling Mist.
Yeah. So this list is it's kind of a mostly a copy paste of the Six Nations list that England used so well. So what I did for Val is I took a caster out and a couple magic items, just a couple power scrolls that had been in the list to make it function. So the big thing about this list is the orc signature spell that lays down the big laser beam that doesn't actually target a unit.
Oh yeah.
So this version of the list has 4 of those. And because it doesn't target, it can be shot into combat. Because it doesn't target, it can do all sorts of wild things. And then you add on 12 fanatics to the list, which have a lot of play. And the Tomb Doom Divers. Staff of Quietude's amazing because it shuts down all of the remains and plays. There was a team that we played against that intentionally took primal magic, as the plan was they were going to put them into this type of a list to kill all the fanatics with the difficult terrain. And Staff of Quietude just makes that strategy not work. Spell Eater acts, of course, for MR2 on your big unit. You've got 2 guys that are re-rolling 1 cast per turn. You have access to, like I said, 10 levels of elementalism to make sure you're getting TMP and Earthen Ramparts. And there's just a lot of cute little plays. Our main thing with this list was our grindy list and our anti-Nuln and Expeditionary Force list. That was the
I can see that. Yeah, because Nuln has to come into range to use the Nuln units, and then you're like, Fanatics full. And then, of course, you just shoot them dead with the...
Because, the Nuln actually has a 24-inch range. What it is Fanatics, when you launch them, they do count as cover for your unit. So
I was right. How dare you?
If you stretch out a unit of 30 Night Goblins, 30 wide, 1 deep, with a caster in them with illusion magic or you just put that guy in the 1 unit behind them, and then you launch Fanatics, all of a sudden they're -3 to be shot, that 1 unit of Night Goblins, and it'll just survive for forever. And then if it doesn't, you just retreat to the next one back and do it again. Meanwhile, you're getting to reposition your Orc unit. You're getting your Doom Divers to go off. And it just worked out. We put Val into, I think, Expeditionary Force once, and he pulled off the win, and he absolutely trounced Nuln at another round, because of strategies like this. Big thing for Val, he, I think, was the top individual player at the event. He had... in that he went 5-0. There were only 2 players in the whole event that went 5-0. The other player was on a team that finished in 7th place. So our grinder, our guy that we basically gave only yellow matchups to, went undefeated. And I think he was Like he wasn't that high on BP. Like I had like 18 more BP than he did. But that didn't matter because we were expecting like 10 10s and 9 11s out of him, and he just was like beating the pants off people, just beating the brakes off of them with this list. Now he did take the full like 3.5 hours most of his games, both because of all the shenanigans he was doing. But these were 3.5 hour rounds, by the way, and also because his opponents were constantly confused about what was happening, with fanatics flying everywhere and trying to get around them. But yeah, I like. Everybody played amazingly in this event. Like Val was absolutely impressive as the guy that we were feeding the hardest stuff to. So,
I have a bunch of questions. Did you have anything you would change about the magic item allotment and placement post event? Like any lines that you saw, I would have actually been better if we had Lore Familiar here rather than here, Monster Hunter's Tapestry here rather than here. Any of that stuff?
No, I think that all worked out well. I'm not sure what I would. I'm not quite sure what I would have changed in my list, but I do believe something needed to change. I mean, like I had the most BPs in the event, so obviously the list did well. Like, don't get me wrong. But I always felt like I could be doing something else, and I'm not sure what it would be. If it's the Razor Gores need to go for something else, I don't have any space in my characters to really do anything. I guess I could like drop a guy to level 1, but my like main concern throughout the event was that I couldn't roll Steed, I couldn't roll TMP, and there was one round where I was just lucky that the matchup was like a blue matchup for me, that I didn't get Earthen Ramparts, TMP, or Steed. Like I basically had nothing to go for buff spells. I just had to bully my opponent, and I ended up getting paired into like a standard Empire list with a bunch of demigryphs, so I didn't need to worry about teleporting around. I just got to laser them to death. But yeah, if that had been like any of my rough matchups, I just would have lost because for not rolling what I needed. So
sure,
I think we could have made an argument for, instead of going with Warriors of Chaos, taking Cathay as our 5th list. And that might have been better, but Adam did so well with Warriors of Chaos, like I'm not even quite sure that's a thing. So
Danny, any questions?
No. That sounds like a great team, Peter. I think you guys chose well.
Yeah, it was just a blast. It was great to play with, 4 like-minded individuals.
Well, beautiful. We might just wrap this episode up here. We're hoping to get another episode recorded in quite short order. We got some Renegade reviews stacking up in the wings. We still haven't even done Skaven properly. We may need to even...
for 35 minutes. We haven't talked about any matchups. This is crazy,
We're
Adam.
doing it on part 2. What do you think we're doing part 2 for? What's the part 2 thing?
Well, I mean, I guess I could talk about my individuals, but let's like at least let them know like how this whole thing went down.
You won.
We did, yes. But we almost did.
You got 10 minutes.
Oh, I see how it is. Okay, so I won't go into my matchups. We'll cover that in part 2. But round 1, we get paired into a team called Close Enough. This was actually one of the teams we had done a little bit of prep into because I felt like they were one of the stronger teams, mainly because of their captain, Eric Drabek, who was part of Team Canada with me, and he's one of the best Wood Elf players I've ever played against.
If we're going to go for 10 more minutes, I would like to explore this guy's list for a second.
Eric?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Bring it up.
So this gentleman is playing Wild Herd, Orions Wild Hunt, like an absolute mad lad. Glade Captain with Scout Kindred, BSB, Banner of Springtide, Arch Lightning Rod. Glade Lord with Annoyance of Netherlands. What do you think? He's the Wild Rider Kindred. He's Ogre Blade. He's an absolute beast with Orion's Favor. Spellsinger, level 1, Illusion, Orb of Midsummer. A Waystalker, what a Chad. Resplendent Luminescence, Muster of Malevolence, Wizarding Hat as well. 5 Glade Riders, 9 Wild Riders, 5 Wild Riders. The 9-man has Monster Hunter's Tapestry. And then 2x5 Scissors of the Thorn with Standard and Champ, and 2x2 Beast Hunt packs, Wood Elf Beast packs, and then 17 Way Watchers. And man, I freaking love this list. Danny, does this tickle your giblets?
Yeah, it does. It's cool. I like it. It sounds so fast and smacky. I like that part of it a lot.
Yeah. So Euric's been practicing a lot of similar lists for WTC, and so this is something he kind of came down upon. It is a very violent list. It's like Euric always plays pressure. He doesn't sit back ever. He wants to pressure his opponents all the time. He's got a couple wins into Beastman with this list, mainly because of that pressure. He uses the Arch Lightning Rod so that they can't run away with Seed of Shadows. And then he kind of just corners them with 14 Wild Riders and says, you either take this and win the game or you take this and lose. The Way Watchers are really great. They with Arcane Botkins, they're going to be -3 to be shot at most of the time because you'll have the Wizarding Hat on Illusion Magic. So his Waystalker. And his Waystalker gets to snipe stuff out with Muster Malevolence sometimes, and if he doesn't, whatever, he's picking up a couple extra dudes. Yeah, that Stag Lord is absolutely violent. Yeah. So, like, even though he doesn't have a dragon, he can just apply so much pressure that most lists aren't capable of dealing with. I believe he had one loss at the event. He had the second most BP after me. His only loss was against Adam on our team. We put him into, and and at the end of that game, like there was like one combat where Adam went from like being what was probably going to be like a 16-4 to an 11-9 or what it ended up being, just because like 5 Wild Riders can whip something around sometimes out of nowhere. And also Adam's list is so soft. Like if it gets hit the wrong angle, that same thing can happen. So
I would have loved to watch that game. That game sounds sick. Sorry, continue, mate.
Yeah. So Eric's team was our round one. It was one that we'd put some consideration into. Andy Rogers had been the winner of the last Square-Based Open in Toronto, and he was using that same Auras of Chaos list. It's basically a Beastman list, but Auras of Chaos, so it's like spams Blue Fire at like a +4 to cast on a bunch of wizards in a Auras of Chaos unit. Connor on like standard run-of-the-mill vampire counts. I don't think he did anything crazy there. Oh, actually, he did. He had a vampire count on a Coven Throne, so he was trying to pull like a combat count on a Coven Throne. Didn't work out for him, especially against us, because we put him into our vampire counts list. He got wrecked. He had Expeditionary Force list with just like a ton of Scout Gyrocopters that played against Val, and Val just put the Fanatics into him, kept him on his toes, and got his 11-9, which is all we needed. And then I ended up playing against Teamer, the Tomb Kings player. And I will. The only thing I'll say about that, we'll talk about more in the in the next show when I go over all my matchups. This was the one matchup where I made like a critical generalship blunder, and I got punished for it so hard. I went into this match thinking it was going to be like a 14-6. I ended up getting a 13-7, but I really shouldn't have. Turn 1, I decided to roll Gaze of the Gods, which I never do. And to anybody, don't roll Gaze of the Gods when you're Beastman, okay? But I got cocky because I felt pretty good about my deployment, about where the terrain was. I was like, I'm just going to roll this Gaze of the Gods and see what happens. If I get a 1, whatever, I'm leadership 10, potentially with a reroll. It doesn't matter. And then it did matter because I rolled a 1, got stupidity. Turn 2, I rolled that stupidity. I got an 11. And that I had not yet moved my casters out of the big unit, which I had been planning on doing. So I couldn't do anything for that turn, and he had a giant unit of Tomb Guards standing in front of my Beastman, a brick, just raring to charge them, and I had no buffs. The only thing that saved me was he took the Withering Scroll, the crazy one that's a one-time use, but it's like -1 strength, -1 toughness, no regen or ward saves for a turn, and he whiffed the leadership test on it. It's the only reason why I didn't just get destroyed right there. Anyway, I'll talk more about that match later. Teamer, by the way, an amazing player, just a friendly guy. I was so stoked that I got paired into him. But yeah, so we did end up beating close enough. We did Shane got a 20-0 against the Warriors of Chaos player. And then like the rest of us pulled off minor wins. So we felt pretty good going out of that one. Our round 2, we ended up playing against, I believe it was Miscast Mages. And these were just some like really fun dudes. They brought some pretty wacky lists. They ended up winning Best Painted. We did make Shane fall on the sword for this one and play into Expeditionary Force instead of Val. But that was because we really wanted to put Val into the Bretonia list instead, because it had like a hippogriff and a royal peg instead of like doing the normal Pegasus stuff. And we figured and he had 3 units of 3 Pegasus Knights. We figured Val could actually just farm that, and he did. He got a 15-5 when they gave it to us. And then because of that, we had to give Shane Expeditionary Force. I ended up playing into Empire of Man. Like I said, this was the game where I didn't get any of the spells I wanted, but it was like a standard Empire of Man list. And I managed to get my 20-0 on him basically through secondaries. All he had left at the end of the game was a steam tank. But I think that game I scored after secondaries like 3,600 points. So, like,
wow.
And he killed 0. He killed 0 things.
Damn.
Yeah, so that was a crazy matchup. By the way, my opponent, Chris Mollink, I will say this. Once again, I didn't have a bad opponent this whole event. Chris and I had like an awesome time just like chatting about the military and all sorts of stuff throughout our game. We were laughing. He was loving it. He didn't care that like he made one, like there was a point where he was really pressuring me, and I thought because I didn't have Earthen Ramparts, something was going to happen. Kind of had me all surrounded with knights and demigryphs. And I ambushed everything into one corner by his by like all his by most of his war machines, and he whipped around a giant night bus to deal with it instead of just continuing the pressure game, and that like gave me the opening. So I ended up blowing away that night bus with 2 Valtides, and not having to try and like protect my own flanks. And that was kind of what turned the game on its head for me. So we're 2-0. We're feeling pretty good. Round 3. We play against basically the other team that we had concerns about, and that was Motley Crude. Motley Crude is the Ottawa team, so they're all a bunch of locals. I've played against or been in tournaments against them before, so I know that like they're all pretty good folk. Cleary Mooney on the Slayer host, I believe he's their team captain. This team also probably put the most prep of any team in the event into the event in terms of like practicing matchups, checking out opposing lists, not just doing a matrix, but like creating, like trying to like figure out how they were going to win certain matchups that maybe weren't ideal for them. And this was basically as close as you can get. Other than the Nathan Cleary match, we were essentially tied. Adam lost to Daniel McDonald. Adam with his Warriors Gas lost to Beastman. Daniel McDonald, another good East Coast friend of mine, 11-9. This, once I said, came down to a couple of lucky Valtides. Also, there was a combat that Adam won where Daniel's like large gore brick was like 0.6 inches from running off the board. And that was kind of the turning point, was he managed to rally that, because if he had gone one more inch, he was gone. And then like obviously then it's like a 20-0 for us. Val played into Chaos Dwarfs. This Chaos Dwarf list was just like T7 spam. It was like the one list that I couldn't play into at all. Like when we were going over the matchups, I was like, I can 10-10 Wild Herd easily. We basically have the exact same list. I might even beat him because he had like 100 points in magic items to deal with stuff that weren't in my list. Slayer host for me, not a great matchup. Chaos Dwarves, terrible matchup for me. It's like 120 hobgoblins and a bunch of toughness 7 stuff, so I can't do anything to the list. Bretonia, this Bretonia list, I was probably fine into because it didn't have MR3, but it was still, it's Bretonia. They move really fast, and if he got off an early charge. It was going to be a struggle. And then the Vampire Counts list. Sebastian Seville is a player that I played in the final round of TGX. We've had 2 awesome games against each other. I felt I could beat this Vampire Counts list. Beastman Wildherd generally is very good into Vampire Counts unless they're kidding to play against you, and he wasn't. But A, I picked up terrain placement, which I'll talk about in part 2. But B, there was a special feature in this matchup that was 12 inches by 12 inches. And I did not have TMP. So he just got to kind of sit in the back of his table, and I was never going to catch him if he chose to run away. So it was basically a Mexican standoff of the 2 of us staring at each other for the entire game, trying to figure out how I could charge him, and him just laughing because I couldn't. Yeah. So that ended up being a 10-10. But so we ended up losing that because of the Slayer Host versus Vampire Counts matchup. A draw in this event was a 53-57, and we lost 53-47. We lost 56-44. So if our Vampire Count player had gotten a couple more points, or if I'd managed to get the green I thought I had, then this was a draw. So we go into day 2 thinking we've probably lost the event because we don't see how Motley Crue is going to lose now. There was one other team that we thought might have a chance to beat them, and they had to play them the next round, but we didn't think it was that great of a chance. That was Fort Goblins. Fort Goblins had gotten 100-0 in their round 3 matchup the day before against the team that would eventually come in last at our event, Atomic Death Squad. 100-0 is very hard to do, even if you're playing against like the team that's there for hobby. So we thought we might have a chance, and it ended up round 4. We got our shot. They lost against the Fort Goblins 54-46, so by 1 point from a draw. And so now we play against the Atomic Death Squad because of just how pairings went. We ended up playing against the last place team. We figured Fort Goblins got 100 against them. We need to score like a 90 at the very least, which sucks because the Atomic Death Squad, they come every year. They're really literally just like a bunch of guys that love the hobby. They don't do anything competitive. They run really janky fun lists. And you kind of have to roll them to win the event now. And we did. We ended up winning 93-7 against these guys. I got paired into Skaven. I will say Andrew, the guy I played, was incredible. All I'll say was I got a 19-1. I should have got a 20-0. I got at the very end of the matchup, I remembered what we were playing for secondaries, and he wouldn't give me a take back. And I said it was a real dick move of me to even ask. Basically, he was like, listen, normally I would let you have that take back. But I want my 1 point. And I was like, okay, you know what? It was real dickish of me to ask. We were playing domination. All I had to do was move a unit like 1 inch, and I would take a quarter from him, from the 1 unit he had remaining left on the board that was holding a whole quarter by itself. And he was like, no, I'm not going to let you do that. And I was like, it's fair. It was really mean of me to even suggest it. So that one went great. And then our final round, we end up playing against the Fort Goblins. And this one, when we looked at the matchups, like we definitely saw a path to lose, but we figured if we could get Adam into Vampire Counts or into the Wild Herd list, and if we could get Val into City State of Nuln, and if we could get Nathan into Wolves of the Sea, the rest didn't matter. We would just get the win because those were kind of the so what we did was we put me up first to see what they would offer. I mean, this was the only time we did that, just because the only matchup I didn't want of all of these was the orcs and the City State of Nuln list. I knew I could easily 10-10 orcs and goblins. Even the City State of Nuln list, I felt like I could probably 10-10 it. It's not a bad list, a bad match for me. Mm-hmm. But City State of Nuln is an awful match for Adam and Shane in particular. So we had to drag that away from them. So like our worst case scenario was they gave me orcs and they gave me city state unknown, in which case I would take city state unknown and we would be fine. Luckily they put up orcs and wild herd against me. So I took the mirror, which I felt like I had a good chance of winning because he had a much smaller unit of gores that he put in ambush, and instead he put all of his points into the primal war herd, which is just not as good as the gore herd. And he also only had like 30 guys in it instead of 45. So I felt like I could just bully him. Yeah. We'll get into what actually happened in that matchup. I did bully him, but it was more because I couldn't roll less than like a 14 on Viletide for the like 19 times I cast it that game. It was fucking wild. And yeah, and then we ended up just rolling them. We got all the matchups we wanted other than Shane ended up having to play in Orcs and Goblins, and he got that 10-10 for us. And that gave us the win of the event. Yeah.
That's sick.
Cool. Dude, well done. Well done to you. Well done to the Square Base crew. Well done to everybody who's getting out there and just enjoying some good teams, old world loveliness. I think it's the finest way to play the game.
It is. And I will say, like, going into the event on Friday night when we all got there and we were chatting together, all of us were kind of down on old world singles play. We're all tired from prepping for WTC or whatever. And just like there is a kind of a malaise and a feeling of like, what are they going to do to make this better? Because it's basically been like everything's been quiet for months since the last FAQ. And I would say that all of us by the end of the event were stoked again.
Love that. Love to hear that.
Just because like we had great games with good people. There was like a lot of camaraderie there. And like everybody stepped up, and that always makes it good, right? Like Adam was our pairings guy. He asked if he could do the pairings, and we said sure, and he aced them. Shane 8 bad matchups, Val 8 bad matchups. I got to coast on playing the best army in the game, as I always do. Like I probably provided the least for our team because I just like volunteered to take the easiest army and just like closed my eyes and threw dice for 5 rounds. But
yeah,
no, it was wonderful.
Beautiful. Well, on that note, we are going to wrap this episode up. Come over and join us over on part 2, over on Patreon, That Old World Charm. Hope to see you there. Gentlemen, say your things that you do at the end of the show.
You've been listening to That Old World Charm with those charming chaps, Adam, Danny, and Peter the Falcon. Thanks ever so much. Cheerio.